Howdy, folks. I'm Colonel Sanders, and you're not. Welcome to my live. Yes, still boycotting KFC. Yes, they still have me blocked on TikTok. Yes, they still have me restricted on Instagram. No, they have not blocked me on anything else, which is weird. But they are still misrepresenting Uncle Harley. They're making a fool of themselves. I have 4 million views on the video that I posted on TikTok, 2.6 million views on the same video posted on Instagram. And hopefully that happens here on YouTube as well. We're trying to reach as many people as possible. And the best message that's getting out there is not that KFC blocked me. It's not that they didn't want to work with me. The best message that's getting out there is so many people did not realize Colonel Sanders was a real person, especially my generation, millennials and Gen Zers. And they're now realizing that the Colonel has family around. Maybe not all the family cares about him, right? But there is still some around today that do care about him. I'm one of them. And because of that, more people are realizing, oh, he was a real person. And the way that the brand is treating his image is really weird and uncomfortable. That is the best message getting out there right now. People are realizing he was a real person. And that this way they have of marketing him is having a effect on the family and an effect on the population of how they perceive who Colonel Sanders was. A lot of people thought he was just a mascot. So in that sense, I'm extremely happy that people are learning it. Now, a lot of people like the recipe that I shared. Finally, after a year and a half of research and trial and error on my YouTube channel of me learning how to make Uncle Harley's recipe based on the information that we did have. Finally, 4 million people have saw that recipe and they're trying it at home themselves, following the method that Uncle Harley had minus the pressure cooker unless they have one. And that's what I wanted people to do too. I wanted them to try my recipe to realize that that is authentic. And what Joe Langton and them have leaked over the years is not authentic. Yeah, they might have made some good seasonings here and there, but this one is really, really good. So I'm excited that people are finally tasting what I have been sharing, and they are learning that Colonel Sanders was real, and they're learning that it's not okay what KFC is doing. Because if you go back to the agreement when Uncle Harley sold, the agreement was they could use his name and image on the product so long as they didn't go away from his quality or his recipe. And they absolutely have deviated away from his quality. And something definitely changed, that his chicken recipe does not taste the same today as it did 20, 30, 40 years ago. So they have already breached that agreement that they had with him, contracted when they sold to Brown and Massey. However, whether that's still upheld today, because all those folks are dead now, that's in question. But if you look at the agreement, everyone, oh, he sold it, he whatever. There was an agreement made. So long as they upheld by that agreement, they could still do it. Now, they moved headquarters to Texas, right? Well, they moved it to Tennessee years ago. Years ago. They moved, 1970, they moved Kentucky Fried Chicken headquarters out of Kentucky to Tennessee. And Uncle Harley said this is not Tennessee Fried Chicken, it's Kentucky Fried Chicken. He threatened to go on Johnny Carson and tell him how bad the food had become. And because they didn't want that bad publicity, and they realized that they're not doing things the way Uncle Harley wanted it. Everyone knew he was going to the restaurants and throwing a fit because the food wasn't done right, and he'd teach them how to do it right. Well, Brown and Massey knew that they could not sell the product without Uncle Harley. Right? So they knew they needed to have the rights to use Uncle Harley's likeness in the marketing in order to sell the product still. Because if he wasn't behind the product, nobody was going to buy it from these people who weren't as iconic and legendary as Colonel Sanders was. They were just businessmen that looked like they wanted your money. So they knew they had to use him, but they had to make an agreement with him that he would sell the rights to his name and image on the contracted terms that they did not change his recipe or go away from his quality. So in 1970, when they moved to Tennessee, Brown realized that this was a mistake and he moved it back to Kentucky. But he also put Uncle Harley on the board of director of Food and Quality Control so that he could maintain his quality. That way they were still within their agreement to be able to use him on the marketing. Well, then Brown Massey sold in 1971 to Hillblind, an alcohol beverage company, who then said, oh, this restaurant Colonel Sanders and his wife has had for several years after selling Kentucky Fried Chicken is a no-go. We're going to sue him over that. They also rolled out Extra Crispy. They rolled out a bunch of other menu items that Uncle Harley didn't approve of. He was on the board of directors of Food and Quality Control, and he had that contracted agreement about the changing of his recipe. So he countersued them. He had a case on that. They settled. They paid him $1 million. He sold his restaurant, changed the name of it. He still maintained the quality of both Kentucky Fried Chicken and the Claudia Sanders Dinner House, but the agreement that they would not continue with the suit, they would settle, would pay him $1 million, and he would sell his restaurant. So there's a lot of information that goes into that, other than the cocky internet troll that wants to say, he sold it, he cashed out, he had no say, you have no say, yada yada yada. No one here is saying anybody has any legal grounds to say anything, but everybody has opinions, and opinions are like buttholes. Everyone has one, and I have an opinion on something that matters a little bit more than what most people are spreading around the internet right now, at least to me. And my opinion is they are misrepresenting Uncle Harley, they're sexualizing him, they're deviating away from his quality and his recipe, and the general public don't realize what they're doing. But anyways, 4 million people, 4.5 million people, and I doubt that Instagram's the same audience, so 7 million people have now seen Colonel Sanders being a real person. The sexualization of him, because I included what KFC has done with him, the misrepresentation, the brand blocking me and other members of the Sanders family, along with the influencers that partner with KFC. And if you're wondering who I'm talking about, all of them. All of them. You see a recent partnership with any verified or very well-known influencer from Canada or United States, they have blocked me and my family. Okay. One day when all this stuff makes it big, my mission of keeping his legacy alive continues, and it actually matters to the brand, and it matters to all these other folks. I don't want those folks coming back and apologizing. They dug their own hole that they wanted to dig. The only apology I want is from Kentucky Fried Chicken itself publicly to my entire family, including the grandchildren. Despite what I heard from movie makers that say they talked to the Colonel's grandson, and the Colonel's grandson is actively spreading lies and slander against their grandfather to cash out for a movie, according to the directors that have contacted me. If that is true, I'm disappointed, but I still would like KFC to apologize to them even. Because it's just embarrassing for any of that to be smudged by the brand on the Colonel's legacy. Hello, how are you doing? Now we're going to play some Tetris. Chances are KFC will never care about my boycott unless it actually affects them monetarily wise. And unless people call for, like they did the wedges for a decade, to come back, they won't work with me or my family. I don't care if they ever do again, because as far as I'm concerned, they have deviated so far away from who they were that they're no longer part of this family legacy, because they've completely ruined it. And if that's the case, then, you know, my family will never step foot into KFC again. I'll teach my nephews and my nieces and any other new family that comes along not to step foot in that restaurant, that our family started that restaurant and the people it was sold to ruined it. And I'll teach them never sell out. Never sell your stuff unless you know the person and you know them well. Want to say hi to them?
I know you would.
Do you want to say hi to them, I asked?
What chance to say hello with?
I don't know. Use your broken finger.
Hello. Sorry.
Sound sensitivity.
I didn't mean to.
I am not ignoring the comments. I'll get to them after this round.
Hey, what's up, Colonel? Howdy, Colonel.
I will get to them after this round. I can't concentrate on them. Not while I'm in the heat here.
Howdy to me?
It might be.
Well, it's the same person that said howdy, Colonel, but now it's howdy there.
How the... How... Oh no, I'm cooked. I'm cooked now.
Sorry. I shouldn't have said anything.
You really messed up the Colonel with all the not safe for work stuff and respect for your fight big company. Yeah. You see, the way I see it, if they deny my recipe, they need to provide proof for the public to believe them when they say that it's not authentic enough. Because one, no representative of Kentucky Fried Chicken knows what the recipe is. Someone in corporate could just call their representative and say, hey, just say it's not authentic, all right? Yeah, they've done that in the past, said recipes weren't authentic, but we went a step further on this page and we proved how they weren't authentic. With my recipe, I provided facts and evidence and screenshots and pictures of the evidence and where you could go yourself to find them of each ingredient and why each one made sense. So for the majority of my recipe that I shared, if KFC wants to say it's not authentic at all, they need to provide the actual recipe to prove that. If they want to sue me for releasing the recipe, they would be publicly admitting that I was right and leaking the recipe themselves. They can't do anything. They could try, but you know, I don't care. I got nothing to lose. So, I'm not saying anything untrue about the brand. Anything that's not a fact about the brand, I say allegedly, and I throw under the bus where I got it from. Pretty much. But I'm not saying anything untrue about the brand. It's not the Colonel's quality. It's not the Colonel's chicken anymore. They did change the lard in the vegetable oil. They did change the cake flour to whatever they use now. They did change hands on the recipe multiple times. The service that I received was absolute trash, and I have proof of that too, which was never dealt with. And there are thousands of people who have had the same and similar experiences. Now, there are good franchises and not directed at them. But unfortunately, the boycott's going to include them because we need to send a message to the entire corporation. They have completely lost their way. So, I welcome them to make a statement. Whatever they say or do, I'm going to publicly talk about it. Hey Theo, welcome back. My favorite Canadian.
Hi, Theo.
Theo is the nicest person in Canada that I have currently talked to. No offense to anyone else who might be in Canada that's super nice. Theo has been here for over a year. And we've had some good conversations.
Tiny Colonel.
Tiny Sanders.
Tiny Sanders.
Like the JRN location, Corbin, Kentucky, the original location, they are good friends of mine. Unfortunately, I believe they have separated themselves from this entire situation that I'm bringing up because obviously they run Kentucky Fried Chicken locations and they can't participate in a boycott of something that they currently sell. But we're good friends outside of all this. And they have a good location, and I don't know what Uncle Harley's 100% quality tasted like because I wasn't around during the time. I know what my family knows and what my family has shown me. But they have the best KFC that I've ever had. Whether it's 100% original or not, which they even admitted to me, David Neal admitted to me that it's not 100% anymore because they don't use cake flour, they don't use lard, they don't use vegetable oil. But the way that they take pride in the work that they do their best to make it the best experience possible. Well, I'm cooked on that one. That's alright, I've been busy too. I got a job. I haven't been streaming as much. I've been making shorts here and there. But, you know, I gotta make money too. So, a little weird getting recognized. I haven't gotten recognized at my job often. 2 times, and one of the times the person was excited. The other time the person was on the phone. They go, oh, the Colonel Sanders guy from TikTok's here. But I'm on the west side of Kentucky. Corbin's on the east side of Kentucky. So it's 11 where I'm at now. As always, I'll catch up to your comments after this round. Ooh, messed that up, didn't I? Oh, wiped out. Oh no, she's not in chat. She's behind me watching. And currently hurting her thumb.
No, my Velcro attached to my hair.
Ow.
Who's talking about? You.
Yeah. I've been to Corbin a few times. I was supposed to go back this year, but we had to cancel our trip, and then unfortunately right after we canceled our trip, I started boycotting the brand over their bullcrap. And that's when they blocked me. Remember to like the live, folks. It helps boost it on the algorithm here. We don't got 4 million viewers like we do on the other platforms. I shall share this to my Instagram.
No, in order for me to moderate YouTube, I have to fix me.
Oh my, and I'm not looking. Let's see if anybody jumps in or not.
Where'd you send it to?
Everyone on Instagram. We were lightsaber dueling, and then my little brother, her bigger brother, I guess I'm the oldest brother, aren't I? No, Kyron's the oldest brother. Anyways, our brother took over the lightsaber because I insisted, and he cracked her thumb. It's not broken, it's sprung.
But it hurt. So, yeah. But technically it's his fault, because he's the one who told me and my other brother to do it.
I didn't tell him to crack her thumb, though.
No, but
And they just give me pieces I can't work with today. Just giving me pieces that don't work. When's the next Minecraft video? We finished our survival series. I can't tell you when the next Minecraft video will be. Matt died. So every time we died in the Minecraft server, Matt didn't want to go back and get his stuff, so he had a copy made of the world. And what ended up happening is when he would lose his stuff. Now, I lose my stuff. No, we got to get over it. Like, I have to go back and grind and get all my crap back, right? He loses his stuff. No, we got to revert the world. We got to boot it back on an older save and restart everything that we did. Well, he ran out of backup saves. I died after we explored a Guardian Temple and defeated it. And then he died. And then he couldn't get his stuff back, so he said, I'm done playing Minecraft for a while. I don't like it no more. And then after that, you know, the world's over. So that series has been wrapped up. I don't know if we'll do another one or when. Might get back into Fortnite here, though. I'll catch up on the comments here in a minute after this round. So close to being an all clear. Why is there so many attacking me? Ah! Cooked. Maybe not. That would have been an all clear. That would have been awesome. Now all these guys get to go away. Bye-bye. Goodbye. Not again. I advocated for Fortnite to collab with KFC for several years after KFC actually made up with me. The corporate team didn't make up with me. Corporate Kentucky's team JRN made up with me and got me to get over all the crap over the last 10 years. And after that, I supported putting Uncle Harley in video games because I thought that was a great way to reach out to the younger generation to get them to learn more about Colonel Sanders, get them thinking more. Like, okay, we got this mascot in here. Why don't we got all these other mascots in here? And I guarantee you now that they're real desperate to keep their doors open because they are losing their butts here in the United States. They're very desperate to keep their doors open. Because the exact words from my friends within the brand, if something isn't done now, we may be looking at the end of Kentucky Fried Chicken in the United States. So, I guarantee you'll see a Fortnite collab with them. I guarantee it. You're going to see it. And I will not be involved in it. I will not buy the skin. Because I supported that, and I supported them working with me and my family again. I supported them going back to the way things are supposed to be done. I really pushed for that. I told people and them that I believe in them, that they could do this, especially if JRN could be doing what they're doing and lead by example. They follow what they're doing. Every KFC has the potential to do great. And even at that, add in the original way of doing things to that work ethic, it'd be unbelievable. But they didn't want to do it. So if they added Uncle Harley to the game and it didn't look like him, it looked like the sexualized version of him or this hunky version of him that they've just released, I won't support it at all. I won't buy it. I haven't played Rivals, no. Oh, Wendy's actual name is Melinda Lou, and they called her Wenda for short, and he called his restaurant Wendy's. Well, the living Wendy, his daughter, she is still the spokesperson for Wendy's. She's still the spokesperson. Yeah, they got the little mascot character there, but they have a spokesperson. Dave was the founder and the spokesperson. After he died, his daughter was asked to be the spokesperson. She took over. She is the spokesperson, the living spokesperson today. So they're not going to do anything as long as she's the living spokesperson for the brand that dishonors Dave Thomas's memory in their advertising. KFC does not have any family working for them in the marketing. And if I see any of the grandchildren working with them, after what I was told by some of the grandchildren that they are also disgusted by these ads, but they figured they can't do anything about them, so they just moved on from it. I am stubborn. I'm a Sanders. I'm stubborn. I don't give up easy. And I'm pissed off, so I'm not going to stand down on it. I know it's wrong. I see that it's wrong, and I want everyone else to know it's wrong. And as long as we keep encouraging it, more people are going to think it's fake. More people are going to encourage the sexualization. And it just becomes a big embarrassment. What are the kids of my family supposed to think when we tell them, hey, your 4th grade uncle is Colonel Sanders. You have a cousin that helped build it, and they started Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken. The Colonel's daughter Mildred helped build Miss Millie's Awesome Chicken in the UK. We had hands in many other fried chicken industry or fast food industry. We had hands in Wendy's, helping start Wendy's through Kentucky Fried Chicken. We assisted with Captain D's, some of the family, and assisted with Captain D's. How are we supposed to teach them all this history? And then when they go to tell their friends at school, and yeah, the family will know the history. The kids of this family will know the history inside and out. But when they go to school to tell their friends and the teachers, what are they going to do when they bring up all this sexualized stuff? Because I'm not going to teach them about the sexualized stuff. That's all bullcrap. When I was in school, and I went and I told people I was related to Colonel Sanders, we did show and tell, I bring in photos and stuff of him. The most I got was, if you're related to him, why aren't you rich? Do you know the recipe? Or you're not related to him. That's the most that I got in school. My sister got in a fight over it. My father and his brother, my uncle, when they were in school, the teacher told them to quit lying and put them in detention for it. My grandparents came to school and proved that Colonel Sanders was their great-great-uncle. And the teacher said, well, they shouldn't be going around telling people that because they'll be jealous. And my grandparents ripped the teachers a new a-hole. My best friend Matt, when he was in school, his teacher wanted them to do a history project on American icons. He was going to do a project on Colonel Sanders because I knew a lot about my family history and he could get a lot of information and even photos for his project that anyone else wouldn't be able to get from the internet. And what his teacher said is, you can't do a project on Colonel Sanders because he's not real. That's what his 30-year-old either English or history teacher said in Florida.
Fight over. Someone tried fighting me, and then I got sent to the principal's office.
Yeah, that happened.
And then I got detention.
But see, that's what we dealt with. But now when, like, our nephews and nieces get into school, and they tell kids that they're related to the guy that made KFC, they tell kids they're related to all these other folks. Nobody's going to believe them. They might even insult them, show them the sexualized stuff the brand has encouraged and made. And teachers are going to tell them that the guy's not a real person. So all that they're doing is lying.
And I would always get asked, can you bring me free KFC then? No.
We're past that part now.
Huh?
We're past that part now. I already told people that's the question we got. Our nephews and nieces are not going to get that question. Yes. Our nephews and nieces are not going to get that question. Our nephews and nieces are going to be told that the colonel was not a real person and that they need to quit lying, and they're going to get in trouble at school for it. It's because the brand has dehumanized him over the last decade. We could go over the last 30 years. They have dehumanized him since the 90s. Colonel Sanders died in 1989. Or 19... Technically, that's true. James Sanders was also Colonel Sanders. He died in 1989. Colonel Harlan Sanders, my 3 great uncle, died in 1980. When he died, my great great uncle, James Sanders, James Wilbur Sanders, Kentucky Colonel, lived in Indiana, Seymour, Indiana, had a franchise in Columbus, Indiana. He took over being the brand ambassador for Kentucky Fried Chicken. He died in 1989. After that, KFC figured there were no other Sanders in the family because James' brother did not get involved in the brand, and therefore my side of the family did not get involved in the brand. We were considered the black sheep of the family. And KFC had no other Sanders to work off of. They didn't want to use any of the Colonel's grandchildren because they didn't have the looks or the last name Sanders. They were Kentucky Colonels, but it didn't have the same ring. Colonel Adams didn't have the same ring as Colonel Sanders. So then they just quit using the Colonel altogether, and all of a sudden they decide, well, now we're going to use people who don't have the last name Sanders, but can look like him, and we'll call him Colonel Sanders. That's when they start using impersonators. And then the 90s roll around, we get cartoon impersonators through the early 2000s, and then he just drops off the face of the earth completely, his image, other than the blue and white red logo on the Kentucky Fried Chickens in the early 2000s. 2010 rolls around, KFC's going bankrupt. And they launch this campaign with Norm Macdonald, Daryl Hammond, all these actors, the actresses, the sexualization, the stripper ad, the sexualized dating simulator, the sexualized novel, the sexualized romance movie by Mario Lopez, the sexy Colonel Sanders bullcrap with George Hamilton and all this stuff. And that brought Colonel Sanders back into the image, but not the real one. A mascot. Like James Bond, we change and treat as a joke, and now the younger generation realizes Colonel Sanders is a name with the brand, and they got a face with the brand, but multiple faces. They don't realize he's a real person, and they cheer it all on. I speak out against it because I see how my family's upset over it, and KFC blocks me 10 years ago. It brought the brand up, revived them, and for quite a few years, they started doing good again. They were relevant in the United States, and people were buying their stuff more. But even the president admitted that they weren't doing things right, that they gotten away from the Colonel's original ways, and they acknowledge that everyone is saying these things. So they made a promise and commitment that they were going to go back to that way. Well, what did they do? 10 years later, they move from their home in Kentucky to Texas. They start losing their butts again. They can't afford their taxes, so they move to Texas. They revive the Colonel again, but they sexualize him in the marketing team by chanting, make him hot, in the sexualized advanced comments that they were making in the comment section, interacting with fans. Then they changed Colonel again, misrepresent him. They have this weird chef with millions of followers. I never heard of him before, the tattooed up guy, and he's sexualizing the chicken itself. They're going bankrupt again here in the United States. And this is their way of calling it a Kentucky Fried comeback. None of the franchisees are too happy about this. I'm in a group with them. I see what they're saying, and I'm going to be revealing what they're saying too. I got a bunch of screenshots to share. But they're not happy with it. A lot of franchisees that have been in the game for a long time are selling their locations off to newer franchisees or back to the corporation itself to shrink their footprint because they don't agree with the changes being made. So now we have all these new young people that don't know what they're doing taking over franchises, along with the corporation that doesn't know what they're doing taking over franchises, and the quality is just going to keep going downhill, but they're going to keep telling you, like the Cracker Barrel CEO, that everybody loves it. Well, you see, you say that, oh, we're going bankrupt, let's be sexy now. They did that 10 years ago and it worked. But now I have more following, more viewers across my other platforms, and people know the Colonel's family exists and how we feel about it. And they know that we have a better plan that would make it better, that would work. People agree it would work, but they don't want to do that. I'd say put me in the advertising. Put the Colonel's family back into the advertising. Instead of focusing all the money on the advertising and doing all this weird stuff, just put the Colonel's family in charge of it. Pay us what you did, Uncle Harley. He got $75,000 a year salary for being the spokesperson. They didn't have to instruct him on anything. They just let him go out and do his thing. He was critical of the brand. He cussed a lot. He threw stuff. Whatever. People still loved him. Put the family back in. Pay us that low wage. Focus the money and effort into food and quality control. If you can't do that, put the family in charge of that. There are members of this family that knows the quality. We know how to cook. We know how our quality is supposed to be. We know what Uncle Harley's quality is supposed to be. Let us go around, pay us to go around and maintain that quality. Shut down the locations not doing it right until they can do it right. Can't do it right, get out of the way, let someone who wants to do it right do it. It'll put money in the pockets of Yum Brands, money in the pockets of everybody working there. People will be happy again to go there. Who wouldn't want that? But that's not going to happen. They made it clear. So I just assume see the company crash and burn, go bankrupt, close in the United States, and be done with it. So if they can't do it right, then I'm going to do it right. I don't got a restaurant yet. Maybe when I'm in my 60s, we'll have something going. I don't know. I got to worry about our family now and my job and all that stuff. But who knows what the future holds. And if it holds a restaurant, then we're going to do it right through that restaurant. Otherwise, I'm going to be cooking it right, teaching you how to do the stuff right through my videos. And you can cook like that at home instead. Being a colonel doesn't have anything to do with, being qualified or whatever. I nominated my father and my uncle as Kentucky colonels. My grandfather was nominated by the colonel himself. So was his father, Charles Sanders, and Uncle Jim, James Sanders, both nominated by the colonel himself. So, yeah, we're all Kentucky colonels, but if you're going by Colonel Sanders in the family, you got me, my grandfather, my father, and my uncle. There's 4 of us living today. Blood relation look just like the colonel with the name Colonel Sanders that could do it. They don't want me. I'm too young. I got a grandfather that looks just like him, and he's old enough. Yeah. That would be the first step going back to the roots, is allowing the family to represent the family again. And then you got that. Okay, you fixed that issue. Now let's fix the food and quality issue. Everybody's complaining about it. You know what to do. Go back to using lard or vegetable oil. We're no longer in this food health crisis era between the 70s and early 2000s where people didn't want to see the word fried. Alright? Lard, vegetable oil. Preferably lard, according to a lot of people. I haven't gotten a chance to try it yet. I've been using vegetable oil. It makes a big difference between vegetable and canola oil. Go back to using cake flour. Go back to doing everything the way it's supposed to be done. Not just doing a few things right and then cutting corners here and there. Go back to doing it the way it's supposed to be done. You want to run a real promotion? Don't offer free buckets through a $15 purchase on the KFC Rewards app. Run the family meals for $2 like it used to be. More people would come and buy that stuff than who's buying it now, and it would make up for what the price should be today. It would make more sense. More people would buy it, and the profits would be through the roof. And they might steal these ideas, who knows? But all these things would have worked. If my family opens a restaurant today, I'm not talking about his grandchildren, I'm not talking about my cousins on Lee's side, and God bless them. I love them. But I have had the food in this family. If my family this side of the family, all the ones, that I was raised by, if we opened a restaurant here in Kentucky today, we would put the Claudia Sanders Dinner House out of business. We would put Kentucky Fried Chicken out of business. We would put Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken out of business. We would put all the restaurants that our family has started and sold out to out of business because they're all hanging on to the history that they're related to Colonel Sanders. And just maybe you might be getting a taste of his original recipe in there. Now, we would be getting rid of that stuff. Yeah, we're related to him, but we have our own recipes too. And you guys would be getting authentic food from the family, not people who bought out of the family and are trying to recreate our family. You'd be getting it straight from the family. So, yeah, we would put them under. There's just a lot that goes into it. You got to have a lot of money to be able to buy the property, buy the equipment, get the licensing, get the permits, be able to hire the staff. There's a lot that goes into it, and I'm not sure that I am capable of doing that myself yet. Maybe I am. I don't know. But I know I don't have the money to do it right now. Oh, it's delicious. You can ask my sister. You can ask anybody who's had my fried chicken. They love it. My grandfather's recipe is completely different from mine, and people love that too. He created his own recipe from scratch without inspiration off of anything else other than his taste buds. And I love his recipe too. I don't know what I would name it. A lot of people are throwing names out there, but if I were to think of a name, I don't think I'd post it because then somebody else could trademark it. You know what I mean? By somebody else, I mean KFC. But I'd say KFC is fraudulently advertising that they are serving Colonel Sanders' original recipe chicken. I'm calling them out on that, and if they want to prove me wrong, then they need to start making things right. Or reveal what it is that they're using. Well, for the best results from what I've had, because I haven't used a pressure cooker yet, use your deep fryer. Do the 7-10-7 method when breading your chicken. Make sure you add the salt and MSG. You don't have to use MSG if you're anal about that. You can just use the salt. Substitute the MSG with more salt. But put the salt and MSG in after you mix the 11 thoroughly with the cake flour. Follow those instructions. And if you have a pressure cooker, do it the way Uncle Harley said to do it. And there's plenty of videos on the internet, including on my page, of him talking about how he does his chicken. Because anybody could cook up a recipe, but you got to have the rest of the method down for you to be able to really harness it in. I've had hundreds of people try the recipe across the world that I showed. I told everyone, tag me in it, film it, tag me in it, tag me in your reaction. I want to see it. And I haven't had any disappointed people. Now, folks said they can't tell if it tastes like KFC today or not, and they said they would have to go buy KFC today to do a taste test comparison. But they definitely liked it better than anything they've had in a while. It's not going to taste like today's KFC though, because it's supposed to taste like the old days. I'll catch up on comments here in a second. It's exciting to have this much conversation on YouTube. Doesn't happen that often. I fear the day that we have the fast rolling chats. I've had it one time in my life. I was not able to keep up with it. Oh dear. The pressure cooker that he modified to be able to fry chicken under pressure. Another design came later by Winston Industries that helped him, or Winston Shelton. Winston Industries was spawned off of Winston Shelton. That helped him filtrate the cracklings at the bottom for the gravy more. And that became the Kletchomatic fryer, which he approved of that change as well. He helped fund that. So you would need a pressure fryer to fry it under pressure. I do not recommend putting it in a regular pressure cooker. There are 11 herbs and spices. Salt and MSG are not part of the 11. They are added to the flour after the 11 is mixed with the flour. Colonel Sanders has said that many times, at least to my great-grandfather. Don't ask me why he did it that way. I don't know what the benefits of doing it that way is, but it's how he did it. Now the salt and MSG comes pre-packaged in with the 11 herbs and spices. I don't know if they mix it at McCormick and Griffith Foods with the salt in it, or if they do it the way it's supposed to be done and then package it. I don't know. KFC wasn't bothered enough to tell me, even though people come to my page to learn about how they operate, how they work today. They weren't bothered to tell me or show me or give me instructions on how they did things, to be able to tell people how they do it. So I don't know how they do it today. I just know corners are being cut in certain places. The seasonings on the fries, I actually liked their seasoned fries before I boycotted them. I liked the fries and I liked the nuggets. But the fries are the 11 herbs and spices on the fries, or whatever they're using, whatever spice blend they use now. I'm not going to say they changed the recipe, because my theory is based on if they never changed the recipe, maybe the amounts. I know they changed the hands that make it, but the recipe never changed and it is indeed the same. The things that changed for a fact around it, like the oil and the flour, did alter the quality of that recipe, of the flavor of that recipe too. So something's definitely changed in the flavor and the quality. I'm more of a dog person. They're probably just a troll. But I welcome trolls here on YouTube, because we need to grow YouTube up. Won't get mad at them here on YouTube. I get mad at them on TikTok when... See, when I blow up, and I did that 10-minute cussing rant, and I do apologize to anybody that heard that, but I also don't apologize, because I have a right to get upset and voice that. Especially when everyone else cusses all the time in their daily language. But I ignore thousands of comments. Thousands of hate comments. Thousands of comments hating on my uncle, accusing him of things that he didn't do. Thousands of it. And learning that a lot of it stemmed from his own family too is disgusting, and that tells me people that are sore that he left no money to them, that they want to slander him to try to make some money off of him or whatever. And if all that's true, which I know Claudia's side of the family does do that, and if his grandchildren do that, I'm absolutely disgusted in that, and that explains why they blocked me and my family when we reached out. Because I'm all about the facts and proving them. But I'll ignore thousands of hate comments And then some lucky bastard, pardon my French, will get the pleasure of me finally snapping and my Asperger's going like that, and I tell them about themselves. I don't care who it offends. Yeah, KFC is supposed to pressure fry it still. Extra crispy. Regional manager Bill Hale told me it's supposed to be deep fried, but always original recipe chicken is supposed to be pressure fried. Which is why it was to my surprise that at our Central City location, when my family was watching them fry the chicken, you can't see the pressure cookers from the door or from the counter, but you could definitely see the deep fryers, and they watched them put our chicken in the deep fryer, pull it out, and put it into the bucket, which, by the way, sat there for 45 minutes to get it nice, cold, and soggy. So they were flash frying, which means taking older chicken and flash frying it to try to make it seem fresh. Yeah, you're a troll. Let's see. Now, I'm not beyond muting and blocking trolls if people try to call me a hypocrite. You know, KFC, I'm criticizing them fairly. When I get assholes on my page, you're going to get blocked. And I have no problem clicking and blocking. No problem doing it. I got hundreds of thousands of people on my TikTok block. It's not just me. I got moderators that help me do that as well. And it's just really to clear out the comment section so that the people who have genuine questions and comments and stories to share have their voice heard over the hater comments that get pinned to the top. If that makes sense. Favorite dog breed? I don't have one. I just like dogs. What's Forts, Theo? What's Forts? Theo's sharing a photo of my dog Bogey. We almost lost him. He's with my grandparents up in Maine, but we almost lost him. He fell on his head and hurt his neck. It's been about a month or two now, but he's finally getting better. But we almost lost him. Oh, don't get me wrong, cats love me too. Our neighbor has a cat, and that cat loves me. Don't know why. I don't got anything against cats. I had one mean cat neighbor in Florida, but I don't know. I can't see me having a cat, pet cat. I have pet ducks. I have a pet mouse. I have dogs. My big sister has a cat. But Forts is a video game. I don't know what that is. I haven't played it. Now we get back into this game. That's one thing that irritates me. I let it bother me too much, but you know, whatever. Whatever. People could see. If I ever make it big one day, people could go back and see the crap that I had to deal with and what I had to overcome. Come! Sorry. But the thing that irritates me a lot, especially on TikTok and Instagram, whenever something of me complaining about something goes viral, that's all that ever goes viral. KFC pisses me off, boom, lots of views. An impersonator does my family wrong. Boom! Lots of views. And people go, do you do anything other than complain? Dude, all you are is negative, yada, yada, yada. Meanwhile, in the year in between those viral videos, I'm posting everyday video games, fun stories, wholesome history, educating people on the history of KFC and all that stuff, but in a good light. And it doesn't get as many views. Might get a few hundred views, might get a few thousand views. So it ticks me off because I know my friends work hard with me making videos, making sure that we're, one, they're watching their language. Two, we're playing good quality games and having fun with it. They put up with me having to wait for me to get the equipment to work. And all that stuff is just being overlooked. And I know we worked hard on it, and it just frustrates me. Not that people are focusing on the negative aspects, but that they're not being able to see the positive ones. So I lash out at that sometimes. I'm like, if you could just see the work that we do, if you could just see it. So I got to work with what I got of what the algorithm will allow to go viral. So if I got to dramatize something to push out the good stuff, then that's what I got to do. Oh, we're out. Yeah, there's a lot of good history videos, but then if you get into the debunking rumors of Colonel Sanders, you see me getting a little more heated with people over the bullcrap. Or if you go to my Instagram page, or you go to the Why I Don't Like Impersonators playlist, you'll see me getting heated over that stuff. I mean, it's rightfully so. We're all human. I'm not going to hide that stuff. I mean, God forbid it happens, but you meet me in public, and I happen to pop off because my Asperger's, that'd be a whole nother fiasco. People should know that I have it. Yeah, people push my buttons, but at least folks know I have it. And they know the issues that I had to overcome over many years. Yeah, I'm related to Colonel Sanders and all this crap. I was a normal, nerdy kid that got bullied and was outcast pretty much. My entire childhood. I went through cancer, I went through all kinds of crap. I was never meant to go viral. I was never meant to be this big celebrity or whatever, right? Meant to be the nerdy kid that nobody likes, sit down, take a seat, be put in your place kind of kid, right? So, let's say I get 10 million followers. I'm not going to change how I am. I'm still going to talk to people. I'm still going to have the same reactions. Maybe I get better at not letting the hate get to me. But what I'm used to in school, when I was in school, is when a bully came up to me, and I used to just take the punches. I used to take the beatings and the insults and let them drag me across the school. And then at some point, my grandfather said, well, you need to defend yourself. And he said he would deal with the repercussions of the school should, I have to beat up another kid for beating me up or whatever. And it never really came to that. But I got used to defending myself verbally at that point. Somebody bullies me and they want to say things to me, well, then I'm going to exercise my First Amendment right to freedom of speech, and I'm going to cuss them out. And I am so used to doing that because that's what I've been used to growing up when I get met with bullies. So when I get met with bullies in person or online, that's how I react. I'm not going to act like I'm this big perfect person, You got to ask where to pick, because when people meet me in person, I've been recognized a few times. In Corbin, when I first went to Corbin, there was this dude that watched my TikTok videos all the time. He goes, dude, are you the guy from TikTok? I love your videos. I love the history. I'm so glad that I met you. I'm autistic. I might not show it all the time, but when it comes to Asperger, socializing is awkward, and I don't know how to do it. So once I break the bubble, then I don't shut up, but I freeze. I don't know how to respond. So when he said, yeah, that's great, shake your hand, whatever. he didn't ask for a photo, and I wanted to ask him if he wanted to take a photo or not, and he stopped and stared at me, and this happened a couple times with a couple people, but I just couldn't get it out. So if you want a photo, you gotta ask for the photo. I don't mind it, but you gotta ask. Muhammad Ali is in the same graveyard as Colonel Sanders in Cave Hill Cemetery, Louisville, Kentucky, and they are both Kentucky colonels. Yeah, I added that to my bio. Childhood cancer survivor. That's going to be one of my greatest achievements there, is to say I survived cancer 20 years ago. Went through bullying in school for many years. Overcame a lot of things just to see the very brand that my family started block me and destroy the legacy. I got to survive cancer so I could see that stuff. And I wasn't even thinking about Colonel Sanders back then when I had cancer. I was 8. Yeah, a lot of the things that I had with what I have, I've overcome a lot of it. If you go back to my older videos, and not a lot of them exist, good luck finding them all. But you could tell I was autistic. You could tell there was something off. I was quiet the way that I talked. I didn't know how to present myself. And I had a video go viral and get 6 million views in a week. Yeah, I'm getting 4 million views now, but the interaction on it's a lot more. But I never had that much attention before. More people wanted to ask questions, and the more and more I answered the questions, the more and more I asked my family for information to share on the internet, the more comfortable I got with it, the more I've been able to loosen up and actually be a content creator, be able to be a spokesperson for the family, at least, for Uncle Harley and all that. You go back to my older videos, and there are a lot actually on YouTube, not about the family history, but my gaming stuff. You can tell a difference. This has helped me a lot overcome a lot of the things I did, just picking up a camera and talking in front of it. But yeah, teach your own. Your friend's dad's in the same graveyard. That's interesting. I've never been to the graveyard. A lot of people go, have you been to your uncle's grave? Have you been to your uncle's grave? I mean, yeah, I understand the question. I'm very passionate about him and this family history. Not just him, though. I mean, there's other aspects. People think I modeled myself entirely off of Colonel Sanders. But my name is actually Colonel Sanders. And it wasn't just him. Cousin Lee dressed this way. Uncle Jim dressed this way. All the old franchisees dressed this way. So I wanted to continue legacy after I was commissioned a colonel. Having uniform help? Not really. I mean, it's weird because if you see me in public, I don't wear this thing. I wear t-shirts and jeans. Like Uncle Harley, when he wasn't working for the brand, he was wearing Hawaiian shirts and shorts. Very weird to see somebody out of that character, you know? But when I was in school, I loved wearing suits. I didn't wear this tie. I didn't have this tie. I didn't think about it. But I wore regular ties. I always loved wearing suits. Always loved wearing suits. One day at my church, somebody said, "You're too young to be dressing like that. Why don't you dress like all the other kids?" So I did, just to spite them. I did that for about 2 or 3 years. And they missed the suits. I go, what happened to the suits? So I started wearing suits again. But I'm tired. Yeah. You'd love to see it. I have posted so many times the photo of Uncle Harley with cousin Karen, his niece Karen. I have posted so many photos of him in Tampa, Florida in his Hawaiian shirt and shorts. I have posted that so many times for people to see. I even suggested, hey, KFC and Funko, you should team up and make a pop figure variant of Uncle Harley, since they already exist, of him in his Hawaiian shirt and shorts. Should we do another round of Tetris, or should we call it a night? September begins something else. We're not going to do Tetris all month long. I slacked off on this again. I have a job now. And I do get home, but I get tired and lazy, and I don't want to get on and record or go live. My friends are already in bed by the time I get home, and I don't feel like making gaming videos without them because they're my friends. And I'm not seeing a whole lot of interest in the PS2, PS1, GameCube, Wii, Sega Genesis, the Nintendo I'm on now, the Super Nintendo, or the Nintendo 64, for me to want to get on those and play single player games. Alright, we'll do one more. Make sure to turn notifications on, because when I do go live, it'll pop up across your feed. That's what I like about the lives too, being able to chat with everybody. A lot of people see my text posts and stuff, and they take it wrong. So many people try to label me as a racist the other day for cussing out folks that want to spread around that my uncle stole a recipe. I have listened to it for so long, I'm done being nice about it. I didn't say a one racist term. I just turned around what people were saying about Uncle Harley and my family. I turned it around. But then, like, you get to talk one-on-one, you can actually listen to what I have to say and the meaning behind it, and we can discuss it further to a better understanding for some folks. I know some people have to explain things a certain way for me to understand them, so I know that I probably have to do the same for some other folks, which is fine. I don't got a problem doing that. Oh, shoot. We'll do one more. One more. One more. 3 a.m. One more. Well, some people, including some family members, told me it would discredit me cussing out haters online as a credible source, and it doesn't really, because I don't view it that way. I see it as been dealing with this bullcrap. At some point somebody got snapped. I just said everything that everyone else has been wanting to say that they can't say because they're afraid of cancel culture, and you can only get canceled if you allow yourself to get canceled, or if you do something so heinously unforgivable. That's one thing I will not bend a knee to, is cancel culture. People want me to quit calling it Asperger's, including a very well-known influencer that I like and follow, Ethan Trace. He gave in to cancel culture. He had in his bio that he was proudly autistic with Asperger's syndrome, and he was bringing awareness to what it was. And lo and behold, some people online that went woke. And I'm not saying I'm a far right. I'm not. And I'm not a far left. I'm an independent. But somebody went woke and told him that it is racist to say that you are Asperger's. And he even came on my page and told me that there's no shame in growing and changing the name of it after learning how it inflicted pain on others. Let me give you the history of Asperger's syndrome, because the people that attacked me in the past over it told me that a Nazi coined the term. During Nazi Germany, an Austrian physician named Hans Asperger. Who is this Hans? Well, I'll tell you who this Hans is. Hans Asperger was a pediatrician, a physician, pediatric physician in Austria. He was doing studies on autistic individuals that were higher up on the spectrum. They were high functioning. instead of the traditional autistic person when you think of. And he also would send kids to concentration camps based on whether he thought they should live or die, and folks with Asperger's syndrome would typically be worthy of living because they were higher functioning, but they would they want to have a good life, obviously. But he didn't coin the term Asperger's syndrome. He just did the research of it. And whether you hate the Nazis or what, which I don't know anybody that actually does like them, the research is the research, and the symptoms are the symptoms, and people do have it. Well, a British practitioner in the 1980s, I believe it was, coined the term. I can't remember her name, but she coined the term based on his findings. Well, they said it was canceled because a Nazi coined the term. Well, a British practitioner 40 years later coined the term, not a Nazi. Was it named after a Nazi? Yeah, but a Nazi didn't coin the term. So there's the first debunk. Secondly, they're saying that it was canceled, that term, you can't say it anymore because a Nazi, yada yada. Not true. Now, nobody wants to be associated with Nazi Germany, and the only reason why it got brought up is because somebody thought the name ass and burger sounded funny, and they wanted to know where the term came from, and all of a sudden now it's offensive. Well, the reason why they changed it to ASD now is to better classify what I have along with other autistic individuals for insurance and treatment purposes. Because with what I have, none of my stuff that I needed growing up was treated under insurance. It was not covered. So now that it's labeled under ASD, insurance and treatments are now available for folks that have what I have. And it also says people who were previously diagnosed before the year such and such when they discovered this again and changed the name to ASD may still refer to it as Asperger's syndrome. My diagnostic papers say Asperger's syndrome, severe Asperger's syndrome. That's what I grew up with. That's what I have. That's what my papers say. That's what I was diagnosed. And if cancel culture don't like it, cancel culture could put a GoFundMe together for me to go to the doctor and pay for a re-diagnostics. That's how I see that. Or the thing about the Asperger thing, nobody would have known about it if somebody didn't think the name was funny and was going to look it up. It was not traumatizing to anybody. I have not met one person traumatized by the word Asperger because of Nazi Germany. It was not a taught thing during that. Yes, the history was there, and you could research the history, but it was not a taught thing to where people were offended by it. People were told to be offended by it. And I will not bend my knee to cancel culture. I will not say I have ASD. Because that's not what my papers say. My papers say Asperger's syndrome. I am on the spectrum. And here's the other way I view it. A teenager online had to tell me that it was no longer called Asperger's. I've been to the doctor. I haven't been to the doctor in several years now, but I went frequently in the past. Even up to the point, I think 2018 actually was the year that they deemed the term offensive. I've been to the doctor since then. I think up to 2022 I've been to the doctor, 2023. And the doctor, we tell him I have Asperger's syndrome. They did not bother to correct me. They did not bother to tell me that's a new term or it's classified under something else now that is better treated by insurance or covered by insurance. I had to learn it from a teenager online with anime drawings in their profile telling me that I can't say that I have Asperger's anymore. My doctor didn't bother to tell me. A teenager online with anime drawings in their profile. Nothing against anime. I'm just saying this is the basic way I find out about these things. Told me that I need to be offended by that. I'm not offended by it. I do not associate it with Nazi Germany. I associate it with what I have, what I struggled with my whole life, and what caused a lot of the bullying in school. That's what I associate it with. Now, if my papers say ASD and my doctor re-diagnose me as ASD, that's a different thing. Then I'd say that. But my papers don't say that. I was not told that I need to go to the doctor and change it. So my papers say Asperger's, not ASD. It may be classified under ASD, but it's still Asperger's syndrome. I will not bend my knee to cancel culture to appease other people because their feelings are hurt. My feelings are hurt that my uncle is sexualized on TV, and there are millions of people that still support it. So, when we start changing things that are more relevant now for the right reasons, then I'll start considering other things, if that makes sense. What I have as Asperger's is the least of my concern compared to KFC sexualizing a family member of mine on national television. You know? Yeah, but that's the other thing. In 2017, if I told the same people that I had Asperger's syndrome, they'd ask me, what is that? And I tell them, oh, you're autistic. Okay. 2018 comes along, you tell them that you got Asperger's, they're all of a sudden offended by it. They don't know anybody with Asperger's in their family. They don't have anybody with Asperger's in their family or friend group. They don't have it themselves. They didn't even know what it was. They just were told that Asperger's is now offensive, so now they got to be offended by it. That's what I don't agree with. You know? That's what I don't agree with. I never will agree with that. So everyone my age that does have the diagnostics, that knew it as Asperger's, when we're talking about it, they understand it based on that term. Not because that term's history, but based on that term. If you say, oh, ASD, they'll have no idea what you're talking about. But if you start describing some of the symptoms, then they'll be like, oh, so it's like Asperger's. But no, it is Asperger's. But it's classified under ASD because it classifies all the people on the spectrum under one group of autism to be able to better treat them. So the term Asperger's has been canceled by the internet, but not by the medical terms, not by the treatment terms. It is not used to diagnose people with now. Asperger's is not used as the diagnose. ASD is, but the symptoms are under Asperger's syndrome. So, now if a Holocaust survivor comes up to me and says, I'm so offended that you say you have Asperger's, that's different. A Holocaust survivor. If somebody my age or younger comes up to me who is related to a Holocaust survivor, never heard about Asperger's up until 2018, comes up to me and says they're highly offended, I'm not going to care. Because they didn't hear the term before 2018 as being offensive. Their family never told them about it. They're just being told to be offended by it. But if a Holocaust survivor came to me and said that, I would understand that. And I would explain my stance on it, of why I say I have it, and, you know, like it or not, that's what my paper says. And if people want me to say that I have something different, then my paper needs to say it, but I'm not going to go pay to appease other people. They get paid for it. That's my thought process on that. And people don't like that, they kiss it, you know? But, what is ASD? Is autistic syndrome disorder? Is that what ASD stands for now? It's not a politically correct term. It's a new way of better diagnosing what we have as folks on the spectrum. So I agree with. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. I think it's better to be able to provide care and coverage for what we have alongside of all the other symptoms that other people have. I think that's a great thing. But the cancel culture side of it is just bullcrap, and I will not bend my knee to it. See you, Theo. Thank you for being here. I want to head off here too. It's an interesting topic to talk about, but when it comes to Asperger's syndrome, not a lot of people knew about it. And the information being spread around about why people don't use the term anymore is misinformation. That cancel culture, just like cancel culture has taken Miss Childress and Colonel Sanders, right? This is why I don't care about cancel culture, because the same people are preaching we're doing this for the right reasons, now has directly affected my life by taking my uncle and this fake lady that never existed, taking a stock photo or the photo of Miss Sarah Clark, they call Miss Childress. They're now creating a bullcrap story, cancel culture, claiming to be for the people, facts for the right reasons. We're taking images, fake names, fake stories, putting them together and spreading it around through cancel culture to educate the world. And yet, it's misinformation. And now, it's directly affecting my life twice, not just by my family member now being affected by it through misinformation, but by what I have struggled with my whole life, being affected by misinformation. So Uncle Harley is being slandered for the sake of cancel culture, and now the disorder that I have is now being misinformed to people even further. See, people with what I have are misunderstood by a lot of folks because there's not a lot of people that understand it. There are issues that come with what we have. And now it's being further misunderstood by idiots online that are spreading the misinformation about why it's called ASD now. You savvy? So that's why I won't. If the first approach to me was they don't call it Asperger's anymore because they better classified it under ASD so that people could get better coverage and better care, I would have been okay with that. But what got brought to me is you can't use that word anymore because a Nazi coined it. Well, that got me to research it because this was news to me. I thought the name Asperger's was funny. You know, pair butt cheeks and a burger. That's what I called it. I thought that was funny. So now I need to research and see what they're talking about. And it turns out it's kind of true, but it's also bullcrap. So that little bit of history there. Again, Hans Asperger's did the research that led 40 years later for them to coin the term Asperger's syndrome and start diagnosing people with it. See, it wasn't until the 80s really that people were actually being diagnosed with autism. It existed years before, but it wasn't until about the 80s that people were being diagnosed with it. And they were finding different studies that had been done on individuals with these symptoms over the last 40-something years to help them with their diagnosing. So Hans Asperger's findings was on children with the disorder that I have that were higher functioning on the spectrum. With what I have sound sensitivity, light sensitivity. I have hyperfixation. I could do numbers really well. And my temper. On top of the Sanders temper, you have the temper that I have with Asperger's. Socializing is weird as well. And, you know, your thought process is supposed to be really fast for most people with what I have. But I had cancer, so when I went through the chemo, it messed with the chemical balance in my brain and slowed my thinking process. I'm still super smart. I could figure it out, but it takes a long time for me to get it, you know? And after 20 years of being cancer-free, things are starting to come back to me faster. I don't know how this went from Tetris to KFC to Tetris to KFC to now what I have in the history of Asperger's. But yeah, no, the guy that did the studies is an absolute piece of crap with what he did and what he was involved in. But he did the studies. He was the only one that did the study, as far as I know. till the 80s when the British practitioner started studying more on it and went off of his findings to better understand what he was looking for. So if we're going to spread this stuff, we got to spread it right. A Nazi was doing the research in the 1940s in Austria. In the 1980s, 40 years later, a British practitioner picked up his research and was further studying it to better understand people with the disorder. And they decided to name it Asperger syndrome, not really thinking about who he was, but that was his name and that was the disorder on the spectrum, so they put his name in front of it because he did the research for it. So they want to drag me into, I'm the person that does the research, as folks know, because of my family history. I come with receipts, I come with facts, I do the research. Before I say anything, I make sure I got it right. Not only hearsay, but here's the evidence if you don't want to believe my word for it. So people come to me with that crap, okay, let's address it. I'm not afraid. But specifically, in the new terminology for ASD, they state older folks previously diagnosed with Asperger's may still refer to ASD as Asperger syndrome. Not that they may no longer call it that. There is no law saying that you can't call it that. There's no medical rule saying you can't call it that. People who are older, who are previously diagnosed, may still refer to it as Asperger syndrome. They add that in there for the insurance companies and the practitioners that are going to be caring for these individuals like me. That way, when we state to them we have Asperger syndrome, they go, ASD. And they know where to go from there. Nothing wrong with that. Where's George Carlin when you need him? Alright. Yeah, we've been on for a while. We've been talking about a lot of things that probably get me canceled if I allowed it. So, thank you for watching. Make sure to turn notifications on. Check out my shorts. Check out my TikToks. Check out my Instagram. There's always something new. Alright. It's been good talking to you.